Good morning. This month, Reverend Kevin's theme is wonder. Wonder. And I love that word. So before we dive deep into this topic of wonder, I provide synopsis of my talks on the way out the door. So you can be fully present right here with me and not worry about having to memorize anything or write it down. So there's that. So when I'm contemplating this idea of wonder, I kind of look back on my own life, and I discovered some interesting things that maybe relate to you, maybe not. I'm a child of the 60s. Most definitely I was a child in the 60s. I was born in 61. So I was a little kid, and one of the things I vividly remember doing was watching old movies on Saturday and Sunday afternoons on TV. I love old movies. And I remember feeling very steeped in the old movies, especially things like Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy, or Lauren Bacall and Humphrey Bogart. Their witty repartee, their snappy banter. They were so sophisticated. There's something about that word that I aspired to. Even as a young kid, I wanted to be sophisticated. That's not a word that generally is the first thing I think of when I think of me. I'm a lot of things, but probably not sophisticated. But I wanted to be sophisticated. I wanted to be elegant. And what I noticed was, out of my desire for sophistication and elegance, I lost some of the wonder that I had naturally as a child. I absolutely was filled with wonder a lot of the time. And as I got older in my teens, and especially in my 20s, I just wanted to be sophisticated. And what happened was, I see now that for me, sophistication became a barrier, it felt glossy and slick. That's the best way I can describe it. Sophistication felt glossy and slick. And as I grew and developed more deeply in my spiritual life, I began to see that as a way of staying separate or apart from, above the crowd. And I noticed that was not satisfying. I noticed that I had no wonder. No wonder my life wasn't working. No wonder. And so I noticed for me, when I have little wonder in my life, I feel this kind of blah sense about things. I feel cynical. I definitely was a much more cynical person back then. I loved cynical humor, cynical comedy. I was much more sarcastic and biting. And I didn't think of myself that way, but I had a few people kind of comment years later that I was much less than I used to be. So I must have been more than I was aware of, right? So there was that. This sense of being unmoved by things. I noticed that I had a sense of being above the crowd or too sophisticated for rituals. Things like birthdays and weddings and funerals. I poo-pooed them. I don't understand all these people getting all emotional about all these things. And I couldn't connect with them. I thought they were not sophisticated. And so I had this disconnect between me and much of life. The other way that I found that I was missing wonder was I was so longing to feel something deeper that I would create and act out dramatically. Now, I was lucky I had a theater life so I could express on the stage, but I also in my own life would create and enhance and dive deeply into big drama just to feel something. My ex-husband and I, in my 20s, we had this long, tumultuous relationship, 10 years, lots of drama. Passion and rage and fights and making up and all this drama. And that was feeding something in me, some longing that I had that I didn't know that I had. So for me, recognizing that I didn't have wonder, and then just recognizing that I had a longing There was a longing in me, and I didn't know what for. I felt this achiness in my chest area. That's about the best way I can describe it, an ache. Now, it wasn't that I didn't have feelings. My mom and I, even as a teenager, would watch Little House on the Prairie at 5 o'clock every day while she cooked dinner, and we'd cry. That was like a place that I could safely let out some of my wonder at the beauty of things, because the show was just beautiful. So this achy chest feeling, also having unexpected tears like at Little House on the Prairie, or something beautiful, or a Hallmark commercial. Those Hallmark commercials, oh, they just get us every time. Or that one Budweiser commercial with the dog and the horse, it's coming back together. So that for me, I'm recognizing I have a longing for something deeper, a longing for beauty, a longing for wonder. I looked up wonder in the dictionary, as I am wont to do. I love looking up words. And wonder means to consider with curiosity. I love that. To consider with curiosity. That's not a lot of judgment. That's just curious. Wow, isn't that interesting? I wonder about that. It also means to be filled with admiration, amazement, or awe. To marvel at things. So, when I notice I have a longing for wonder, when we notice we have this longing for something deeper, we get to choose. I get to choose to just open up to the possibility of wonder. I'm just going to open up. I might not know what it is, but I'm going to open up to the possibility of more wonder in my life, to fill myself up with wonder daily, moment by moment. So that means I get to pay attention to life around me. I can't detach. I get to connect. I get to look at small things. I get to invite cheesiness into my life. Things that are cheesy, which usually means they're super sweet, kind of silly, and they're filled with wonder. I watch The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. He makes me laugh every single day. He's just silly, and he's having such a good time just being himself. And he's filled with wonder. Everything that happens on that show, you can see the wonder leaking out of him. And every guest that comes on is the best. Oh, they're the best. This person, how can they all be the best? Well, when you're filled with wonder, everything is the best. And they have these silly things that they do over and over and over again as repetitive bits, and they make me laugh every single time. They're silly and cheesy and ridiculous, and I love them. Because they tap me into the sense of childlike wonder. You could tell a kid the same joke 15 times. They're going to laugh every time. You can do peekaboo to a baby, and they're like, oh, that's amazing. How did you do that? They're filled with wonder. To get back to that place. So if I decide to fill myself up with what I'm coining wondertunities, wondertunities. What are all the wondertunities we have available for us every moment of every day? Things that are filled with wonder sometimes make us gasp, and then they relax us. I notice this in nature a lot. That sense of gasping with the beauty of it, and a sense of instantaneous relaxation. Sometimes they just make me curious. Wow, how did that happen? That was amazing. I consider with curiosity. I consider with curiosity my problematunities. Those things that Ernest Holmes says are non-preferred experiences. I don't like to say good or bad anymore, but I really like Ernest Holmes when he says preferred or non-preferred. So when I'm having a non-preferred experience or opportunity, usually, often, if I can step back from it and maybe step back a little more, and I look at it differently. Maybe I look at it from kind of off to the side, one eye. Imagine I'm looking at it from somebody else's perspective. look at it 5 years from now and look back. Most of the time, I can begin to see that there was something operating for my good that moved me through whatever the problemattunity appeared to be. Relationship, your relationship dumped you, your job kicked you out, you have to move, all these things. I've got this diagnosis. And yet, if we examine our life, it all brought us to here, right now, today. This moment, where you're sitting here in this room, and there's nothing wrong, and there's nothing missing. We have enough right here. There's enough, right? So I love this opportunity to look at things differently, to say there's wonder in here. Maybe I just can't find it yet. Maybe it's going to take me a little bit. Maybe somebody else can help me see the wonder in this, like a practitioner. This week I experienced a couple of moments of wonder that just cracked me up because they happen all the time. My husband and I went down to La Jolla to look at the sunset. We don't do that very often. Where we live, we have a beautiful sunset every day. But we went to La Jolla, and I'm watching all these people who've come from around the world to La Jolla, and the sun is coming down, and everybody stops. And they got their cameras out, and they're taking pictures of the beautiful sunset. Now, this is something that happens every single day. Every day. And yet, every day, it's amazing, wondrous, magical. Every day. And we're like, oh, look at that, it's going down. Oh my God, there it goes. What is that? That's wonder at the simple, small pleasures, as Stephanie spoke about that they're telling the kids today and teaching about the kids today. I have enough. And then we had this full moon. And twice I was coming out of this building at night with a couple of people from different events we were doing. And we just stopped and looked at that moon. And one person shared with me, we look at all these things that are around us, all these buildings and roads and cars. They're amazing, incredible inventions and creations. And yet this thing that has been happening for millennia, every day, here's this moon. Well, that's, once a month, but still. Look at it. Wonder. So we can choose to fill up. Myself and several people close to me recently, we've talked about this idea that we're on the cusp of something new. We're right on the edge of stepping into some bigger greatness, some bigger thing. It may not even look bigger, but it feels deeper, more meaningful. And it's calling us to some place that's unfamiliar. And what often happens is we get this wondertunity of every little issue we thought we dealt with goes boom, right in our face. Oh, not enoughness. Darn it, there it is again. I thought I handled that. Nope. And what I used to do was get frustrated. I thought I dealt with this. I thought it was already done. I thought I handled this one. Now I see the issue pop up. There it is again. Thank you. It shows me where I still have doubt and still have disbelief in the power and the presence of this one life. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm a minister. I shouldn't have any of that. No, I'm a human being. Moments of doubt flit in and out all the time. But the good news is, we get to choose. I can listen to that. I need to have it say, but it doesn't need to be the boss. Something else can be the boss. My wonder can be the boss. Or something else. Much of my talk today came from Ernest Holmes, the founder of our philosophy, Science of Mind and Spirit. And so I'm going to read you a couple of things. One we'll do in a moment, but right now I just want you to just breathe this in. You can close your eyes if you choose, or just listen. So after we choose to open up and fill up with wonder, then we can definitely declare. we begin to declare our choices. He says, we should definitely, daily, declare the truth about ourselves, realizing that we are reflecting our statements into consciousness, and that these statements will be operated upon by it, the One. This is why teachers of olden times, mystics, used to instruct their pupils to cross their hands over their chests and say, "Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful me." Definitely teaching them that as they mentally held themselves, so they would be held. As we mentally hold ourselves, so we will be held.